Hello everybody, I'm Michael Marshall, I'm a science writer and I had a special delivery this morning. So this is a box of paperbacks of my first book, The Genesis Quest. Now the paperback edition actually came out in shops in the UK a couple of weeks ago, but owing to a slight behind the scenes snafu, my copies came through a little bit late. I haven't actually worked out exactly who's responsible for this, but I like to imagine that their head is bouncing down a set of steps, a bit like Marie Antoinette's after a cake binge. But I thought I would just open these up and show them to you and talk a little bit about why I wrote the book and why I'm so proud to share it with you all. So the Genesis Quest, it's all about one of the biggest scientific mysteries that's still outstanding, namely how life on Earth began. What happened billions of years ago on our planet to turn what was a lifeless ball of rock into the living, lush, green world that we're all living in today and kind of in the process of making a mess of. There is some complicated sticky plastic, so I apologise if this is too noisy. Raft of copies of the Genesis Quest. Here we go. Just get one out. A bit closer to the camera so that I can show it to you properly. So like I say, the Genesis Quest is about this perpetual mystery of how life on Earth might have begun. And it's something that has fascinated me as a science writer throughout my career. It's something I've written about far more times than I care to count over the course of more than 10 years. And it fascinates me, I think, partly because it's essentially a slightly more technical way of asking, why are we here? Where did we come from? You know, just as we sort of try to understand how the universe began, the Big Bang, and the deeper nature of physics, in terms of like theories of everything and that kind of thing. So the question of how life began is equally as central to why it is that we're all here. And one of the things that sort of really drove me to write the book was that every time I wrote about the origin of life, I found myself inherently limited in what I could write about, because I would only have a certain amount of words, and so I would always wind up writing about one hypothesis or another hypothesis, and I would basically have to pretty much dismiss all the other ones and just focus my article on this one idea that was current. And after a while, this started to really frustrate me, because it was becoming really obvious to me that there were lots of different ideas that had been put forward over the course of pretty much 100 years of fairly concerted research. And they all kind of had some merit to them. Like there were some that you could just obviously just go, yeah, no. But quite a lot of them, I thought, I feel like even if that's not the truth, even if it's not what happened, you sort of felt like you were looking at the truth from out of the corner of your eye. Or it was a little bit sometimes like the parable of the blind men touching the elephant, where one of them touches the tails. Elephants are long, slinky things. I sort of felt that I came to suspect that a lot of the ideas that had been put forward were talking about aspects of the truth, or parts of the truth. And so I really wanted to read a book that would discuss all these different ideas and sort of set them off against each other a bit, and sort of say, well, here are the merits of this one, here are the merits of this one, what would happen if we put them together? And this book didn't exist. So I decided I would write it, and several years and a lot of effort later, here it is. This is what the Genesis Quest is. It starts in the 1920s with the first widely discussed, if not accepted hypothesis, but at least widely provisionally considered hypothesis about how life might have begun, this idea of the primordial soup. And from there, it sort of moves forward through the first famous experiments in the 1950s, and then through into through the molecular biology revolution and into ideas like the RNA world, this sort of idea of a genetic molecule that came before everything else, and then right through into the present day and the sort of the ideas that are still live and being discussed right now. And it tries to sort of tie all these things together and point the way, not to the exact explanation of what happened and how life began, but to the sort of the nature of that explanation is going to take, the overall shape of it. I fully expect that I will be wrong in at least some of the details. And I'm sure that if I was to write the book again in 20 years' time, there will be all sorts of things that I would then want to change. But this was my best attempt to bring everyone up to speed with everything that's been done in this field in the last 100 years. So the Genesis Quest is out now from all good bookshops, and well, I assume from some of the bad ones as well. You can I particularly recommend, if you're in the UK, you could get it from bookshop.org, where I actually have a shop. I actually have my own little shop on bookshop.org, so I get a little extra commission from that. You can also get it from Hive Books, which supports independent bookstores. And in the US, the paperback isn't out for a little while, but you can still get it, and I particularly recommend getting it from IndieBound, which, like Hive in the UK, IndieBound in the US supports independent bookstores. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much.